It has been said by scholars that a civilization is measured by its public spectacles. In the 13th century, every tournament had the melee, where young hoodlums armed cap up high shattered collarbones and swapped skull fractures with the chain mace and steel-spiked morning star.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6.
While in the pavilion, the gentle ladies wore their champion's colors and kept eyes fastened on their own particular hero. But common to all cultures, according to anthropological study, is a wholesome mass identification with the hero. For example, Elvin Rhodes, named with obvious ingenuity by the press, Colossus. 6'3", 221 pounds. The hero, the archetype of beauty and grace in our culture. In certain ancient cultures, as described by Sir James Frazer in The Golden Bough, the hero king was subject to popular idolatry and fetishistic adulation. Throughout the city, he was recognized and revered, with homage paid by the elders of the culture group and admired by the nubile maidens available during his reign. He was served the choicest food and the rarest of the available wines. Perhaps the only drawback in the reign of the hero king was the lack of privacy, for he was almost continuously under the eye of the populace or of the priests told off to serve him. After all, as Frazer points out in a footnote, even the hero king himself must have been aware that according to ancient custom, at the height of his reign, the king must die.
To see. Let's keep this clear. Come on, lady. There's nothing to see.
Say unidentified Midtown Hotel.
Look, Mr. Keeper, I've got more important things on my mind.
Well, we've been highly cooperative before.
You, what's your name?
Nicholson.
The tenants who were living in the rooms at the time of the shooting, I want them to stay put. We'll be talking with them.
Yes, sir.
Adam, I want to talk with you.
Please, Lieutenant, before the newspaper people get here,
look,
you just tell them to omit the name of the
you can't get out of this. A pro football star has been shot. They're going to give it the full treatment.
Oh, please, Lieutenant.
Adam. They took Rhodes to the West Side General. I want you to go there, stay with him, and get a statement out of him.
What did he say? Anything?
No, he was in shock.
Lieutenant, the hotel corporation would greatly appreciate it.
Will you get off my back? I got a man shot through the stomach. Adam, get going. Frank, work your way up and down the hall. Somebody must have seen something.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Mac, we got a story, will you? Come on, let's hear it. Come on. Hey, Flint, you were upstairs. What's the story?
How bad is he? Who shot him?
I can't make any statements, fellas.
Come on, Flint, it's already on the AP wire. What's the
I
details?
came into this thing late. Ask the lieutenant. He'll be right down.
You guys figure it's connected with gambling, maybe? There was a 7-point spread for today's game. The books would have cleaned up until Rhodes ran back that interception.
Fellas, I'm not holding out. I really don't know anything. Ask the lieutenant when he comes down.
Crying out loud. How do you get a story around here? These guys are...
Pardon me, miss.
You're a policeman, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a policeman, but I'm in a hurry.
I thought so. Maybe you want this. I'm the one who shot the Colossus of Rhodes.
What's your name?
Eleanor Hopper. I thought maybe you could tell me what to do.
Let's go talk about it.
You don't believe me. I shot him, all right. I had to. I had to shoot him because, you see, I love him.
Hello, Doctor. How's he doing?
He's lucky. It passed 2 inches above the stomach. The other bullet cracked a rib.
Will he pull through?
Oh, he'll be all right. Lost a lot of blood and there's a certain amount of shock. There's no real danger. He's got a constitution like a brewery horse. Will you want the bullets?
Yes, please.
I'll have them sent down. Don't have him talk too long, about 5 minutes.
Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes, I'm a police officer. Detective Flint. Can you tell me what happened?
Well, there was this knock, see? I went over and opened the door, and it was like getting kicked in the stomach. It hurts.
Well, we have the girl that shot you. We're holding her at the precinct.
You got her.
Eleanor Hubbard. Well, doesn't that name mean anything to you?
No, nothing. She said why she shot me.
Could you identify her?
I guess so. It all happened so fast, but...
And you're sure you don't recognize her name?
Well, I said no. Did she say why she shot me?
She said she shot you because she loved you.
She what? I never saw the girl in my life.
Miss Hubbard, you understand that you don't have to say anything now. You may call a lawyer first if you want to. You understand that?
Yes. No, I don't care.
But I did tell you that you could call one. You understand that? Now, anything that you say is completely voluntary. Officer Schulberg here is taking down every word that you say, and it can be held against you in court. You understand that?
Mike.
Now, would you give us your name and address, please?
Lieutenant.
What's the matter with you? You're no better than to interrupt a confession. These things got rhythms. She was ready to roll.
I just spoke to Rhodes.
All right, later.
Hey, wait a minute. He claims he's never seen her before. He doesn't even know her name.
That's what he says. He's got a wife in California. What do you expect him to say? Now, please, would you tell us your name and address?
Eleanor Ann Hubbard, 365 West 87th. It's between West End and the Drive. I have a floor through in a converted brownstone.
You want that about the brownstone? Everything. All right. Now, would you tell us when you first met Elvin Rhodes?
It was a year ago. They beat New York 43-21.
It was at a game.
Yes, I went with Harry.
Harry.
Harry Culverin. I used to go with him.
How do you spell that? What's the matter with you? Just spell it. Don't break the rhythm. Now, would you go ahead, please?
I'd never been to a pro game before, just high school games, you know, Erasmus Hall against Tilden. Well, Harry talked me into it, and it was awfully exciting. was one of the most exciting things that I ever saw. I didn't even know who he was. Harry told me he was Elvin, the Colossus of Rhodes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
After the game, I asked Harry to take me around so I could see him.
He said warmest personal regards, so? I mean, he wrote that to all the kids.
No, he didn't. He wrote lots of luck to all the others.
Look, what are you talking about? A guy like that signs maybe 100,000 autographs?
But he looked at me.
So he looked at you.
He saw me.
Hey, you know what? I'm getting sore. I mean, after all.
What do you mean, sore?
I've been trying to get an answer out of you all afternoon, and all you do is talk about that football player.
Well, you can't discuss something like that at a football game.
All right. All right, so this isn't the football game. Now, I told you, my mother is going to live with my sister in Allentown. Now, there's no reason why we can't get married. Go ahead. Give me one reason.
We didn't talk about something like this on the subway.
But when are you going to talk about it? Eleanor, I asked you 3 weeks ago.
This is warmest personal regards. Yeah, I wonder what he meant by that.
Oh, come on, will you? It's only an autograph.
I don't know why I did it. I guess I was mad at Harry. But all the way downtown, I kept looking at his picture. And then I looked up what hotel the team was staying at. And I went there and I waited in the lobby.
And you met him that night?
Yes, he knew me. He recognized me. He said, you're the girl that asked for my autograph.
And you went out with him?
He took me to dinner, and we began to see each other.
Now, Miss Hubbard, would you describe your relationship with Mr. Rhodes at this time?
Well, I was in love with him. It's just, at first I couldn't understand it. I mean, I'm just an ordinary girl, you know, and he knew all sorts of famous people.
And you continued to meet him?
Well, we had to be very careful. He's married to that woman in California. He knew her in college. He was very young. He didn't know what he was getting into. Of course, the only trouble was he was in New York for only such a short time, so he asked me to make the road trip with him. The team went on a specially chartered plane, and I took a regular airline flight. I'd get a room at each hotel by myself so that nobody would know anything about it. And after the game, he'd come up to my room so that he could relax after all that tension. During the off-season, he had to go back to California. It was awful. I don't know how I lived through it. But then they opened in New York this season, and he got in touch with me the week before. And I saw him again, and everything was the same. At least, I thought it was the same. So we rented a car, and we drove out to Bear Mountain. And he told me then, he tried to be gentle and kind. I know he did. But she wouldn't give him a divorce. And he couldn't see me anymore. And then all Sunday afternoon I watched him. And I knew I couldn't lose him. I mean, life just wouldn't mean anything without him. I couldn't lose him. You understand that, don't you? I love him.
Is that all?
Yes, that's all.
Schulberg, type that up right away. Send the matron in.
What's going to happen to me now?
Well, that's up to the district attorney's office. We're sending your statement over to them now. You can go with the matron now.
Well, that's that.
Yeah.
You think they'll go for attempted murder?
Assault, maybe. If Rhodes isn't hurt too bad.
Maybe he wasn't hurt enough.
Oh, you've got an opinion.
Sure. The big hero. He rolls into town, picks up some wide-eyed, vulnerable girl. You don't think he ever had any idea of divorcing his wife, do you?
Look, she's not a child, Adam. The trouble with you is you always have an opinion. An opinion is for a jury, not for a detective second grade.
Can I have a personal point of view?
In the 22 years I've been in this department, I have never had a personal point of view. And that's my advice to you.
All right, I'll try to keep my opinions to myself.
All right. Frank?
Yes, sir.
I want you to make arrangements to take that young lady to the Women's House of Detention. And Adam, as soon as Schulberg finishes typing the statement and has it signed, I want you to rush down to Foley Square and personally hand it to whichever bright boy has been assigned to this mess. This is a hurrah's nest. And the sooner it's dumped on the district attorney's desk, the better I like it.
Yeah, I read her statement. Look, I'm not criticizing you, Lieutenant Parker. You did a fine job. It's just that, well, even with the ballistic report and the paraffin test, it's not enough. Well, look, there's a lot more in here than just admitting the shooting. Well, she's got a whole McGilla here about what you... Huh? McGilla. McGilla. It means a lot of extra stuff. Well, look, I can't introduce one section of a confession in court. I got to bring in the whole McGilla, the whole works. Listen, Lieutenant, I should think it would be to your advantage to make sure that a confession you obtained holds up in every detail. No, I am not threatening. I'm not threatening you. I just need the man for 3 or 4 days a week at the most. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Nice talking to you. All right, Flint, you'll be working with me for a few days. You saw the girl. What do you think? Well, don't be so enthusiastic.
Well, she's kind of a helpless kid. I don't think she's too bright.
Does her story sound straight to you?
Yes, I think it does.
Well, I want to check out the details as much as we can. I'll have to bring in this whole mess as motivation for what she did. As a starter, I'd like you to go out to Idylls. His wife's coming in from Los Angeles, flight 102. Pick her up. See if she knew what was going on. She knew about the girl.
That's kind of a tacky job.
Yeah, isn't it? But I want all the corroboration of the girl's confession I can get. I suggest you get out there pretty soon because she's going to be mobbed by the gentlemen of the press. Oh, boy. Are they going to have a picnic with this one?
Oh, this isn't... Hold on, hold on. Mrs. Rhodes, Mrs. Rhodes, hold on.
Watch your head.
I'm a police officer, Tessa, district attorney's office.
But is he all right, Elv? I mean, have you seen him?
The doctor said he's in no danger.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Oh, Flint, Detective Flint.
I didn't realize it was such a crowd.
Come on.
All right.
Miss Rhodes, I hate to be blunt, but do you know Eleanor Hubbard?
Oh, is she the girl?
Yes.
Oh, I've never heard of her.
You had no intimation of her existence?
What are you getting at, Mr. Flint? Are you trying to ask me if I knew that my husband was going with another woman? Well, he wasn't.
You mean you had no evidence of...
No, that's not what I mean. I mean that Elv wouldn't be mixed up in anything like that. I ought to know.
Yeah, I suppose so. Do you have any idea of why a strange woman would knock on his door and shoot him?
No, I can't. I just don't believe it.
I'm afraid it's true.
About that girl?
Yes.
No, it isn't.
Mrs. Rhodes, I appreciate your loyalty, but this kind of a thing does happen. Now, maybe you noticed some signs.
Now, I don't have to stand here and talk to you anymore. If you don't want to take me to the hospital, I can get a taxi.
No, I'm sorry. I'll take you to the hospital.
What's she like, this girl?
Well, it's pretty hard to tell. She was very upset.
Did she say why she did it?
Yes.
Why?
Because she loved him.
Norma?
Hello, Pixie.
Hi, listen, don't let anybody see Elvin. I burned some candy. It's soft salads. He likes that. Will you give it to him from the offensive platoon?
That was very thoughtful of you, Pixie. Thank you.
And tell him we'll miss him against Chicago.
Pixie Gates, the defensive guard.
Yes, I know.
Pixie asked me to give you these. He's outside.
Thanks. Honey. Honey, I'm all right. Come on now. I got hurt a lot worse last year against Detroit.
I'm sorry, I just can't help it.
Look. Listen. I never saw that girl before in my life. You believe that, don't you? I could read you like a book. It's written all over your face.
Don't get that angry, Elvin.
You're having a good time, aren't you? It's a big laugh, isn't it? The Colossus of Rhodes get caught playing around. Serves them right. Well, you know how it is with the stars, Charlie. Wouldn't you if you had all those girls hanging around, huh? Anyone in the papers, actors, politicians, and ball players, everybody loves you. They run after you for your autograph on a lousy piece of paper. They sit at home with a beer in their hands and they watch a whale squash your face in the mud with his cleats. But let somebody tell a rotten lie and see it in the papers. Then whose side are they on, huh? They give each other the elbow and say, hey, they get a big charge out of seeing you dragged down to where they are. Well, let me tell you, that girl's lying. I never saw her before.
There's no need to get excited, Mr. Rhodes. We'll check a story.
Why shouldn't I get excited? I got shot. I can't play any more football this season. Maybe never. Just because some girl goes lying all over the place, I lost $20,000, maybe more. And what is my family supposed to think?
No, El, please, honey, don't.
Well, why do you guys have to pick on me? What did I do? Listen, if I could get out of here,
Elv, are you all right?
Yes, honey, it just hurts a little.
I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Look, Norma, you better call Mama and tell her that not to believe anything.
And I called her before I left home.
I don't know what happened all of a sudden. I never saw that girl before.
It's all right, Elv. I believe you, honey.
I already told you everything. I don't understand.
No, Miss Hubbard. See, I'm not here to ask you any more questions. Mr. Cavallo here is a very good lawyer, and he's agreed to help you.
Mr. Flint told me about your case, Miss Hubbard, and he asked me to... Well, anyway, I agreed to represent you if you want me to.
Do you understand? Do you want Mr. Cavallo for your lawyer?
I don't know.
Well, I haven't got anything to do with it. I mean, you don't have to be afraid of that. If you say yes, why, it's between you two.
Well, you'll probably be arraigned sometime later today, and I ought to be able to have you out on bail.
Do you think it's all right?
Mr. Cavallo's a very good lawyer.
Well, all right.
Well, I'll leave you alone. Tony, you know you can request a copy of the confession.
I know. Thanks, Adam.
Well, when does the next train leave? On the hour or the half hour?
Look at this, will you? I've been out here just an hour. You know, I get more phone calls than a bookie.
All right, thank you.
Hey, you back earning an honest living yet?
No, I'm still on loan to the DA.
Oh, did you pick it? Mike held me over a whole shit. Bernie Schulberg's out with a virus, and there's a peeping Tom loose somewhere in a housing project. Ah, the Cheshire Rockets are on the muscle again. Hey, didn't you know the kid that's a warlord?
Honan, Louis Honan. But I thought he was going to a mental health clinic.
Not according to this. You know, Adam, you ought to really handle this. You know the kid.
I can't, Frank. I've got to go to Philadelphia tonight.
You know you're practically on vacation?
What are you doing in here, Frank? I thought you were out on that loft break-in.
I was. I'm back. Look, Mike, when are we going to get Adam back?
Well, not until Ketton lets him go, or I'm so short of men, they start stealing the green lights off the precinct door. How long do you figure, Adam?
I don't know. Ketton doesn't want any surprises in court, Mike. But at least he has a good attorney. Tony Cavallo.
Oh. There was a call for you from him. He wanted to know why you called him.
Never mind, Frank.
Adam, did you stick your neck out to get this girl a lawyer? Which side are you on? Don't let this get to you. This girl bought herself a gun and she shot somebody. That's against the law. Let's look at it from that point of view, huh?
I'll try. Warmest personal regards.
Well, I can't stand here and watch you all day. I gotta vacuum the halls.
It's all right. That search warrant you have makes it legal.
Hey, what are you doing with that? That's personal property.
I'll give you a receipt for it.
That's old airline tickets, isn't it? Now, why would anybody want to save them? She really shoot that football player?
No, I suppose so.
And I always thought she was kind of mousy. You never know.
No, you never do.
Fingertip jacket, ranch-dyed mutation, cobweb mist. That's just a house name. Actually, it's just like gray.
And it was delivered to Eleanor Hubbard.
On the 17th. Ordered by, Mr. E. Rhodes. By letter from Washington.
You accepted a mail order?
From Mr. Rhodes? Oh, yes. He's an old customer. I remember we sent a mink stole to California to Mrs. Rhodes.
And he paid for the girl's coat?
Oh, yeah? Here's a copy of the receipt. On the 15th, by cash. Delivered by messenger.
Cash?
That's fairly normal. We find many men prefer to make certain purchases in cash, discreetly. You know, it's very difficult for a gentleman these days with the joint checking accounts, the income tax. We try to be understanding and discreet. We like to think we have certain professional ethics.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Now, this is the room.
That's right, 2107. The bill shows room service. Here, dinner for 2, breakfast for 2. Well, we certainly slipped up on that. We only charged her for single occupancy.
Now, she was here on that date, huh? And you actually served her?
Sure, that's my number on the check.
Uh-huh. Now, tell me, was there anybody else in the room with her?
Well, in the bathroom, the water was running in the sink. I figure people like privacy. You gotta respect privacy when you serve room service.
I see. Now, what about the other reservation?
Oh, well, that was made by the traveling secretary of the football team, Elvin Rhodes, room 2128. It's right across there.
Thursday the 11th, Elvin arrives for Sunday's game. I saw him at the regular place. That's Central Park West on 64th Street, across from the Ethical Culture School. We can be together even if only for a few days. I don't think of anything else.
It's almost classic, you know. Like Hester in The Scarlet Letter.
Only Hester didn't shoot the Reverend Dimsdale with a .38 revolver.
She should have. What's gonna happen to her?
She has a good lawyer. He has her out on bail. He'll probably try to plead insanity.
Is she?
Within the legal meaning? I don't know. Captain from the DA's office doesn't think he'll stand up. He says she had a good, sane motive.
You mean if she had no motive, she'd be better off?
You can call being committed better off.
You work for a very strange legal system, my friend.
Honey, I got her a good lawyer.
And then you go out and dig up enough dirt to bury her.
Look, we've been all through this before. It's my job.
I know. Monsieur Javet of the Paris Prefecture. Why didn't you just say that you never had an affair with him?
Because she did. It all checks. The hotel room, the fur jacket.
You're developing a shabby little civil service mind.
Why are you needling me? What's the matter?
I'm sorry. Nothing. It's there but for the grace of God, you know. I guess I sort of identified. Remember that Hollywood type that nearly swept me half off my feet when I first came to New York? I could have cheerfully shot him, but I couldn't afford a pistol. I felt like a used piece of chewing gum. Help her.
It isn't up to me.
Hi, Lip. Adam, there's a call for you.
Who?
Rhodes. He wants you to get over to his room right away.
Ask him where he throws his used chewing gum.
But I've got a right to know, haven't I? You can't cover this thing up.
I'm not covering up anything. This is police business.
It's my business. It's my job, my wife.
Oh, I told you don't have to prove anything to me.
No. Just listen to you telling me you believe me, and then you walk right out that door, huh?
Well, Mr. Rhodes, I don't know what you expect me to do.
I expect you to tell my wife the truth, right to my face. I want you to tell her what you found out about that girl. To tell her you found out she was lying. I said tell her the truth.
Let him alone, Elv. It doesn't matter.
But it does matter. What do you mean? Tell her the truth.
All right, Mr. Rhodes. I wasn't going to tell you, but now I am going to tell you. I'm going to tell you exactly what we found. Every detail in the statement Miss Hubbard gave us can be backed by physical evidence. Her calendar pad is full of names, dates, and places of meetings with you. And there's also corroborative evidence. Airline tickets, her tickets to the football games, hotel reservations. And she was identified in hotels in Philadelphia and Boston. Oh, and there was a fur jacket that you ordered and paid for. There isn't one inconsistency.
I never saw her before. What hotel?
Philadelphia, December 12th. You were in room 2128. She was in room 2107 across the hall. Well, she was identified by a waiter from room service.
He's lying.
Elv, cut it out.
But he's lying!
I'm sorry, Miss Rhodes, but this thing would have come out in court anyway.
What are you trying to do to me?
You're an innocent victim, aren't you, Mr. Rhodes? You haven't done anything, have you? Well, I wonder if your wife and children would agree with that. Or Miss Hubbard.
I never saw that girl before in my life.
Stop it, Elv. Stop trying. You can't shout your way out of it.
Where are you going?
Back home. The children are with their Aunt Mary. I'll stay with them there.
You don't believe me. You don't believe me either, do you?
How can I?
I don't understand what happened. I just don't know what happened to me.
Hey, Adam.
Yeah, what?
You got a visitor.
Who is
Harry, son, the ex-boyfriend. He said you were looking for him.
Oh, yeah, I was, but I don't need him anymore.
Well, get him out of here, will you? He's spreading viruses.
You're Mr. Culverin.
Oh, yes.
Harry Culverin. Are you the one who left the message for me?
Yes.
Well, you see, I'm sorry. I had this flu virus, and it was at my sister's in Allentown.
Well, Mr. Culverin, actually, it isn't very urgent. You see, the case is about closed.
Oh, it's tragic, you know. I don't suppose there's anything I can do for Eleanor?
No, I'm afraid not.
You know, in a way, it was my fault. The whole thing.
Oh, what do you mean? Just a minute. Will you come over here?
Yes. Well, you see, if I had done what I said I would, this never would have happened. Do you think I could tell everything to somebody? Would it help Eleanor?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Culverin. It all depends on what it is.
Well, you see, I've known Eleanor for years. And in a way, it was my fault she ever got mixed up with Rhodes. You see, I had this problem with my mother. But then finally, she went to live with my sister in Allentown. That's where I got this flu.
Yes.
Can I put my tissue somewhere?
Oh, sure.
You see, thanks. I kept asking Eleanor to marry me. There wasn't any reason anymore why we couldn't. And just then, she meets him.
Rhodes.
He told me about it on a Monday. I didn't know what to do. I mean, every time I tried to get an answer out of her, she sort of slid sideways and started talking about Rhodes. She said she was falling in love with him.
Well, why did you go on seeing her?
Well, I mean, Eleanor's just an ordinary girl. And he's a married man and, you know, everything. I thought it'd pass over. I begged her not to go on the road with him. But she didn't care. I kept asking her to marry me. Well, then finally, it was a showdown.
That's when Rhodes told her that everything was called off, that his wife would not give him a divorce.
No, I didn't mean that. She didn't tell me about that.
Then what showdown?
Well, it was Thursday before last Sunday's game. I said to her, Eleanor, I am going to see him, and I am going to tell him he's got to stop. Or I'll tell his wife. I said, I am going to face him to his face and have everything out in the open.
Mr. Culverin, when you told Eleanor you were going to see Rhodes, didn't she tell you that Rhodes had already told her they were through?
No, she didn't. She begged me not to see him. She said she wouldn't let anything spoil their love. I mean, you know, she talks like that.
And you didn't talk to Rhodes?
No, I never saw him. Well, you know, I mean, close up.
But you said you would. And before you could, she shot him.
Adam, now what are you...
Just a minute, Frank. There's something off here. Something's way off. Mr. Culverin, did you ever actually see Eleanor and Rhodes together? I mean, other than that time when she was getting his autograph?
No.
But you knew they were having an affair?
Sure. She told me.
That's right. And she told us. She told everybody, and we believed her. And you believed her, too.
Well, of course. I mean, why would she lie about a thing like that?
You, miss!
Come on, Mr. Rhodes, you don't want to start any trouble.
Get out of my way. I want to talk to you. I want to know why. I want you to tell these people the truth. Get out of here. I'm going to make you tell the truth. Why did you do this to me? Tell them the truth. Oh, you...
Eleanor, Elvin Rhodes has a wife and a family and a job, and it's all crumbling around him because of you. Do you understand that? Now look, Eleanor, you've been lying to us. Now we want you to tell us the truth.
I told you everything just the way it happened.
Eleanor, do you have any idea why Rhodes tried to reach you?
No.
Because he wanted you to tell the truth about him.
I did. I told you over and over. I signed it when it was typed up.
You understand your attorney is right here looking after you.
It's all right, Eleanor. You can tell us the truth now. It's in your own interest.
But I did. I told you the truth.
Eleanor, I've been talking to Harry Culverin.
Harry.
You went with him for about 3 years, didn't you? And he wanted to marry you, didn't he? But his mother was living there all the while.
I suppose so.
And then he arranged to have his mother live with his sister, and that made the marriage possible.
Yes.
And then you told him about Rhodes. That was one way of not marrying Harry, to have an affair with somebody else.
You can't say that. I love Elvin.
Then you can help him by telling the truth.
I did. I told the truth. I can't say anything else.
Eleanor, this is Elvin Rhodes.
I never saw you before I opened the motel door. I don't know you.
No.
Eleanor. Now, Eleanor, that's true, isn't it? You don't know him and he doesn't know you.
No.
It was because of Harry, wasn't it? Pushing you, making you make up your mind. But you were afraid to marry him. You were afraid to marry anyone. But you couldn't admit that. And so you had to find a way to put it off.
I wanted time. That's all. So I pretended. I had to think, that's all. And I couldn't hurt Harry's feelings. So I told him that I met, I just made up a few things, that's all.
Everything, Eleanor. You made up everything since the autograph.
Well, I had to tell Harry something. I got easier after a while. But believe it, I read all the fan magazines. I knew about his wife and his hobbies and everything. I had his picture on my wall. And it almost seemed as if he'd talk to me. Sometimes he did talk to me.
And what about the notes?
Oh, well, things seemed realer when I wrote them down. And I'd be at the game, and I'd say to myself, now, nobody in this whole stadium knows that he's in love with me. It was very secret. That's why we had to be so careful, so nobody would find out.
Mm-hmm. And you bought your own ticket in his name?
Well, he would have wanted me to have a good seat, wouldn't he? I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it?
What about his road trips? You bought your own travel ticket. You went around to the various hotels by yourself. And then you ordered dinner for two, but you ate always alone.
Well, it seemed like he was with me, and then when I wrote it down, then it was real.
What about that fur jacket?
Well, I read in the paper that he sent a fur stole home to that woman in California, and I knew then that he would want me to have one too. So I ordered one for him when I was in Washington for the game. I think that was very thoughtful of him.
And you paid for that jacket then with your own money?
No. It was just a loan. He was going to pay me back.
Now, Eleanor, what about the trip you made to Bear Mountain when you rented the car?
Well, that was awful. I cried and cried when I realized that I'd lose him.
But he wasn't there, not really, was he? You were alone.
Was I? Oh, no. That can't be right. Because that's when I made up my mind that I couldn't lose him.
That was because of Harry. Harry said he was going to Rhodes. Then it would all come out. Harry would know that it was only make-believe. And Rhodes, the real Rhodes, would know about you.
Oh, I just couldn't lose him. I mean, I loved him too much. I just couldn't stand to lose him.
That's because your Elvin wasn't real. That's because your Elvin was a safe lover. Because he wasn't real.
No, I really love him, and he loves me. He does it. I guess it was there he got me so mixed up. I mean, that's the way I felt when he told me he wouldn't divorce his wife. Well, he couldn't have said that, could he? I mean, if he wasn't there.
Flint, I don't think you have to go any further.
Eleanor, you come with me now. Everything's going to be all right.
Oh, you're not Elvin Rhodes at all. I thought you were. I mean, you looked something like him. You're not Elvin Rhodes at all. And I ought to know. We love each other very much.
Look, Mr. Rhodes, I'm very sorry. I have no excuse. I can't ask you to forget what I said. You can make an official complaint.
For what? What good would it do? You tell my wife. That's what you can do. Go on, call her right now.
Okay.
There are 8 million stories in the naked city. This has been one of them.
Screen Gems film presentation, Herbert B. Leonard, executive producer.